Back in December, Colby Payne, who is a level designer for Crystal Dynamics, he was working on the Perfect Dark game as Crystal Dynamics is collaborating with The Initiative. He spoke out on social media, calling gamers a mistake and accusing them of being racist. Fast forward to last week, Microsoft had 9,000 layoffs with the Xbox division. Microsoft's studio, The Initiative, completely got shut down, and Perfect Dark got canceled. The level designer that I mentioned likely still has his job with Crystal Dynamics, but gamers see this as a big win and were celebrating the game getting canceled. Salam! For those of you new to the channel, my name is Mustafa. I am a game developer. I work on indie games that I self-develop and I self-publish. I have previously worked in the game industry. I worked at Treyarch during the development of Black Ops 4, and I worked at Zwift on their indoor cycling game. I see many game developers on LinkedIn defending him and saying he had a good reason and that we shouldn't publicly shame him for what he did. Let's play devil's advocate and say that this level designer had a perfect reason to call gamers a mistake and say what he did. Even if he did have a legitimate reason to say what he did, once you start name calling people online, you are in a losing situation. You are not going to win anybody over and you're not going to look good. Not only will you as an individual not look good, but you're going to make everybody you're working with not look good. There is no winning when it comes to an online name calling match. The best thing he could have done was to log off and not say anything at all. If he really was aching to say something to them, what he could have done is try to de-escalate the situation rather than go into name calling. When I worked at the Treyarch studio, I worked in administration. I got to see a lot of people come in, a lot of different celebrities, a lot of different executives. And I was reminded many times by my director that I was supposed to keep quiet as to what happens there. This is because as someone who works there, I'm not supposed to make any unofficial announcements, any leaks, or say anything that can hurt the company. It was very important to my director that none of the people working under her made the company look bad. And that makes me question how come the management who is above that level designer didn't make any public statements. When it comes to these large studios, they know what goes on online. They're constantly tracking online what people are saying about the studio and the game. So it's very likely that management knew about what he said online. There's a chance that management did talk to him one-on-one about it. But even if they talked to him one-on-one, they didn't make any public announcement about it. They didn't say that they're reprimanding him or correcting what happened or apologize for him. They didn't fire him publicly. And because management didn't do anything publicly about it, that gives the perception to the public that the studio endorses what he said. And this is what leads to the vilification of the entire studio. And the funny thing is, the Initiative isn't even his studio. He works for Crystal Dynamics. The Initiative is what got shut down, and people are taking that as a big W, even though he still likely has his job. When I hear about these big video game layoffs, I feel empathy for what's going on. I've went through a layoff myself, and I've also worked in the industry. I understand that not everybody in the studio, especially a studio full of hundreds of people, not everybody thinks alike. Not everybody agrees with that level designer who said what he did. There are a lot of people like me who completely disagree with him. And also keep in mind, video games attracts the most introverted of people. People who don't want to really say anything out loud. People who want to keep to themselves. People who are passionate about video games. They just want to show up to work, make a game. They don't want to stir the pot or say anything out loud. And this is the thing I keep in mind when these studios go through these large layoffs, is that there's a large number of people who have this type of mentality, who don't really want to say anything and don't really agree with all the crazy things that are being said out loud. This isn't an isolated incident either. We've seen this with Concord. We've seen this with the Saints Row reboot. We've seen this with Avowed. We constantly see rogue employees left and right saying crazy things online, trying to stir up the pot. I'm not saying that gamers or the audience should be forgiving of these crazy folks who are saying crazy things. You can't control and redirect what the mass audience thinks. The best you can do is control what you say and prevent the wrong message from going out. When it comes to any company, public reception is important. Every employee is a representative of that company, regardless as whether they are an official representative or not. This applies to any job, whether it's a game developer or a front-facing customer service job like a retail job at the store. I have many years of experience working at retail jobs, and every single one of these jobs I've encountered angry and disgruntled customers. Regardless as to how angry they are or what type of attitude they bring to me, I am not allowed to dish out the same attitude back. At the very least, my job is to de-escalate the situation and try to get them from angry to neutral. This is not because we're trying to win them over. The point of de-escalating the situation is to prevent a bad reputation from building up. Word of mouth is very powerful. If somebody has a great experience, there's a small chance that they might tell a friend about it. But if customers have a negative experience, the more negative the experience, the more likely they're going to tell other people about it. They're more likely to write a negative review. They're more likely to tell friends to avoid that business. And this applies to all businesses. This is why it's important to prevent an extremely negative experience for a customer. When I got a job at FedEx many years ago, I recall in the orientation, we were told to make sure to never get into trouble that leads to us landing on the media. This was before social media was as big as it is right now. So what they told us was that if we end up in the local news, what they're going to end up saying about whatever crazy thing we did, they'll say FedEx employee did this. And then the negative news about FedEx will be spread. And that's why they don't want us to do crazy things out in public. Having a little thing in your bio that says my opinions are my own is not going to prevent everybody from getting angry at the entire studio when you say something crazy to them. Personally, I think retail jobs are terrible. People who work retail jobs are overworked and underpaid. But the thing about working a retail job is that it teaches you an important life skill to either make customers happy or to de-escalate situations. If you're going to be working a retail job and you're going to tell people that they're a mistake and call them names, good luck keeping that job for long. We used to live in a time where people would get sad when they see their favorite studios get shut down. Now we're living in a time where people are cheering when studios are getting shut down. We as game developers have to prove to the audience why they should give us goodwill. Anyways, buy my game. If you got this far, please leave a like and subscribe. Take care. Salam.